esports meets entertainment. A new economy emerges.
I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. So let's take about 30 seconds to a minute to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Mikael. I'm one of the co-founders of Grid Esports. We are a data platform working with publishers and tournament organizers across the world. We work in games like League of Legends, Dota, CS, and many, many more games, Valorant. We work with the biggest operators in the world in the regulated space. And our data is very granular, and happy to talk about it with anyone who's interested.
Yeah, Kirill?
Hi, I'm Kirill from Bedbeer, and actually it's third time in a row at the Sigma, third time in a row at this stage. And the fun story, all the time I had a new title. Before the Sigma, I had new promotion, so for now I'm the head of innovation at Bedbeer. And every time, new title, somehow related to esports, so happy to be here.
And Julius.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julius Mariano, also known as Banubs. I'm a former head of Twitch in the Philippines. I started from 2016 to 2019, spearheading live streaming here in the Philippines, where there's no fiber during that time, you know. Then eventually I created my own company, started a talent agency, and now, yeah, I'm the founder of YGS Live, who's also doing events. We just did the Battle of the Streamers in January. It's a huge event prioritizing the huge responsibility of responsible gaming and iGaming. It's kind of mixed fusion of esports and iGaming concept, and yeah.
Yep. So I'd like to kick off this discussion, and let's talk about money. Obviously, I'm Asian. I love to talk about money. So let me kick off with the first topic of discussion. In terms of what do you call that, esports, people have been saying that it is becoming more and more entertainment first. So in terms of monetization, what actually changes in terms of monetization when the viewer is no longer just a bettor, but more of like a fan, a viewer, and a participant? So what changes in terms of monetization in this aspect?
Okay, so I can take that question. So firstly, I just want to share the background before. Back then, when I was in 2016 as the head of Twitch in Philippines, one of the biggest contributor of viewership was the betting. You know, they watch games live, they put their bets on it, people participate in the chats, you know. And right now, the huge monetization part is not just the ads. Before it's only ads, right? But now it's fan engagement, the community engagement, each pro player engagement communities. They even have merch to sell each players of professional esports. You know, so it's very revolutionary in terms of what you can do, because right now there's a huge fan engagement and interaction in regards with live games. You know, everything, even in the NBA. You know, it's everything.
Yeah, I'll agree with everything you said, Julius. I'll also add on the data angle and also on the data engagement that the maturity of the scene has improved massively over the years. As Julius says, that it was more amateur in the initial years, and now it's professional tournament organizers like Blast, DFG, that are making world-class events, both in Asia and around the rest around the world, allowing you to have really cool data-driven innovation. Like, for example, if you want to see when a kill is happening on the stream, you want to back that up with historical data, so you can basically tell a story, which gives you a storyline, which is keeping the punters more engaged, and then offer markets based on those events.
Kirill, do you want to add in something?
Not really.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next topic of discussion. It's still money. It's still about money. Okay. So in terms of commercial value, okay, being created into this esports environment, what is the factor here? Is it like live match data, like creator-led communities, or even platform distribution? What is the factor here?
I think, yeah, I can ask. So,
The
actually,
strongest commercial value, okay?
yeah, I'm talking from sportsbook point of view. And if we talk about sportsbook, everything is available. But we shouldn't forget what sportsbook based on live data, math models, traders, etc., etc. So for sportsbook, the most valuable part, of course, it's live data.
I mean, I'm a data provider, so I couldn't agree more.
It's not fair.
Yeah. Julius, you want to add in something here?
Maybe the data is commoditized, you know. There's a lot of values into it, because especially the AI in this generation, right? There's a lot of incredible things you can do in AI, you know. Like recently in the past years, you can see a lot of companies who are all data driven from AI. And I believe it adds a huge layer of revolutionizing the whole industry in general.
Actually, I'm from the traditional betting background. I started off in the sportsbook industry. I see that a lot of influence being exerted by all these like brand ambassadors in a brand. So for esports, do you think that brand ambassadors is very, very crucial in the success of this whole ecosystem?
I think, I mean, I can only say based on my experience. I also owned an esports team back in the days for MPL Philippines. It's called Mariano Esports. So based on what we did in the past, it kind of helped build the esports ecosystem having an ambassador, right? But also it depends on how what are the advocates of the ambassador is, you know, how he actually drives impact into the community. Is it positive? You know, is it money driven with merchandise and all? So there are a lot of components to consider in getting an ambassador in esports as well. Yeah, that's my thing.
Mikael?
Yeah, I'm also from the traditional sports side first, and I think that you can't have one without the other. So yes, you can have brand ambassadors, but if your product is falling behind, it's not really going to help you. And it's the same vice versa. If you don't have brand ambassadors, and if you have a great product, no one's going to find your product. So I think it's like the combination of both is crucial, of working with ambassadors and having a great product.
Yeah, just to pick your brain a little bit, since Julius, you're from Asia, and then Mikael and Kirill, technically you guys are from the western part of the world. Is there a lot of differences, you know, in terms of the factor, just as I mentioned, in the Asia versus the Western world? Like, what are the key differences?
This is
in
also
terms
based
of
on,
monetization, okay?
yeah, based on my experience as well. I always see the Western countries as kind of superior. It's a huge reference for us in the Philippines, because back in the days where esports is not yet a term yet, we always see that there's a future in something, and we use the Western countries as reference, right? Esports is nothing to us before, but we do try to play and compete every single time. When I was a part of Mineski in 2006, but then we see the Western countries are like 5 years ahead from the Philippines, and we try to get them as a reference for us to follow. And eventually, if you haven't heard, there's a professional license here in the Philippines as a pro player, which I took as a reference from the Korea. They have a professional license, so I tried to establish and facilitate into the local government in the Philippines to have it as well in 2016. Because before, our main problem is visa. Imagine, because you all heard about the international, right? Dota 2. Before TI7, they required each participant to have a P1 visa, which is professional athlete visa. And back in the days in 2016 in the Philippines, the government or nobody cares about esports, you know? Like, you need a proper visa to be a sports athlete, right? So I'm happy that it pushes through, But you know, there's a lot of problems occurred before that because in the Philippines, if you became a professional athlete, you need drug testing. And you need to follow the mandate. So it kind of slowed down the spike of the growth in the Philippines of major events because the international players doesn't want to participate local events in the Philippines because of drug testing. But recently they just approved it. So you know, and to summarize it up, I really believe that the influence from the Western countries is a huge impact into our country, in Southeast Asia in general.
Yeah, before we discuss further, I just want to pick your brain a little bit. In terms of betting size in Asia versus the Western world, like what sort of betting size are we talking about here?
Maybe if I can answer that.
If
Because-
you have the data, please feel free to share. If
not
don't,
just the data, it's just the
fine,
logic,
yeah.
you know. All international, I mean, the Western country teams, all the Asia communities bets on international teams in Western. But the Western countries doesn't bet on Asia teams. That's a simple logic I can say.
Is there a reason why?
Yeah, right? It makes sense because, you know, in the Western countries, you guys don't care about the Asian countries' teams, right? But us in here, we care about the Western countries' teams, right? We bet on it, right?
Kirill?
I'm not sure about Western teams don't care about Asian teams because matches where your team's playing, it's pretty convenient for European time. So it's early morning and there is no other events. It's super important for us. And I also want to add the difference between West and East. It's titles. For in Southeast Asia, Mobile Legend and Dota 2, it's #1. Yeah. MLBB, and mobile games as well, yeah. So in West, we focus it on some PC game like CS2 and Valorant.
Yeah, I agree with what Kirill says. I mean, like, depends on, it's only on, like I'll use the Latin American region for instance. Like in Peru, it's Dota 2. In Brazil, it's League of Legends and CS. And then there's something else in another country. It's like very regional. And from a turnover perspective, obviously, I will go back to Julius' point. The West looked at Asia as well, because Asia was first to embrace esports betting. I started seeing esports betting in 2014-15, when I was working at Genius Sports. And we saw the volumes growing, and they were already quite massive already back then. And this is a lifetime ago, it feels like.
Yeah. Do you have any numbers to share?
Well, that's ages ago, so that's not really relevant. But the numbers are, I mean, like, you're asking where the majority of the revenue is coming from, and I would say it is from Asia and Europe still. US is coming, but it's from a regulatory perspective, they're behind.
All right.
I can add about numbers if you want.
Can you share maybe the general numbers?
No.
No?
But it can be interesting.
Nobody's taxing you here.
Okay. It actually can be interesting. Before in Philippines, esports was banned. So the Dota 2 plus MLBB was second sport after basketball in the term of turnover and GGR.
Wow.
What's the #1?
Basketball.
Oh, okay.
So if you're talking about 100%, how many percent does this esports occupy right after basketball, like in terms of percentage?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to remember.
I mean,
this.
it depends on the sportsbook. Like in most sportsbooks, I think esports is 3 to 5, depending on the region, and it depends on. Like, usually it's football and then it's basketball first.
Yep.
And then usually esports comes third now. So I would say from a percentage, it's around 10 to 15%. But then it can go a lot higher depending on which sportsbook and which focus the sportsbook has, or the prediction market, as we heard before.
Lovely, lovely. So the next topic of discussion, we still have a good 15 minutes left. So let's move on to these two keywords. First, about speed and latency. This is a very, very common word in the esports ecosystem. So my question here is that what is currently missing in the industry to make esport data truly usable for real-time betting at scale? Besides latency and speed, what other factors is involved here?
I'll answer that one. Granularity, I would say. So data has always been an issue in esports. Back in the day, it was like not, it was partial. You couldn't get access to certain game titles. It was blocked by the publisher, blocked by the for political reasons. Grid is making esports data available to a wide range of users now, sports books, prediction markets, and as you say, speed has always been crucial in terms of how you make it's a safe betting experience, both for the customer and also for the operators. But what is making it more available now is that the granularity that you can offer in esports, for example, is beating traditional sports by a country mile. Because basically, everything you're dreaming of in traditional sports, like having the speed of someone running from, like, you know, how fast Ronaldo is shooting or something like that. In esports, it's a digital game, so it's already there. And I think the opportunity in data, if you overlook latency and delay, and speed, is granularity in basically how detailed data points you can get.
So infrastructure-wise, are all these countries ready in terms of like speed and latency, like infrastructure-wise? Because I lived in the Philippines for a while, and infrastructure has been quite a challenge in certain parts of the Philippines.
It is.
So that's where my question is, you see. For the jurisdiction that you guys are in, are they ready in
I
terms
don't
of
see that's a
infrastructure?
problem. For us, that's not a problem. And like with the us operators or partners that we work with, that is not a problem. And then it's obviously the accessibility for those who are engaging with the content, that they are able to consume and watch the streams. That is still a problem in areas where you're reliant on watching it on Twitch, and for example. But there's a way for data solving that by having widgets, and this is a way where you're solving it for sports in, for example, Africa, where you have data visualization that is basically showing the game without showing a video that is basically heavy on your bandwidth. So there are ways around those challenges as well.
All right.
Yeah,
Kirill,
usually it's not a problem for you as a data feed provider, but it can be a problem for sportsbook provider, you know.
That's true.
You have something to add?
No, just
Yeah. Julius?
I mean, I can also speak from experience as well. In terms of latency, I have this memory back in the days where we played Dota 1, with a huge latency gap. But then, when we won the tournament and compete in Singapore, there's no latency problem. And we improved our reflexes 0.5 seconds. So we were playing basically 0.5 seconds delay. And once we played in the LAN tournament, there's no delay. So it actually improves our gameplay. And we actually won the tournament in 2011 that time in the Games Expo Singapore. That's the first international championships of the Filipinos. Because, the main problem here in the Philippines back in the days was the internet problem, the latency.
That is a good point. That is something that is limiting the international matchups that you want to have, because if you have one team that is in Korea and one team is in the Philippines, and they want to play on the same level of competitive fairness, it's quite hard to achieve that in an online setting. So offline obviously preferred, but that comes with costs, investments. But the online scene is improving, but usually it's leading to tournaments being more regional than international, because international online tournaments is kind of complex, unless it's in Europe. In Asia, it's still a difficulty, and that's something that the infrastructure still has to improve to allow you to be playing from a team facility in Manila, playing a team from Jakarta with the same fairness.
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's move on to talk about the Gen Z or Gen Z, the generation. Okay, the young people.
I'm Gen Z.
You're Gen Z? Are you?
all of us.
All right. So if I were to give you, okay, in one word, how would, sorry, not one word, in one sentence, like how would you be doing better in reaching the Gen Z or Gen Z to today? Like to tell them about esports,
It's kind of tricky in my perspective,
Yeah.
because when you say Gen Z, some of it are not 18 above, right? So in terms of esports, because basically the esports ecosystem in general also revolve. I mean, the part of the iGaming or the betting industry is part of the esports ecosystem, right? So in terms of that, the iGaming also has this thin layer, silver lining about responsible gaming, right? So there's too much. There should be a layer between something you can promote esports with betting, that is for the 18 above or 21 above. But for the belows, I mean, it's something that should be sensitive about, right? Because I am one of the biggest advocate about responsible gaming, you know. So to answer your question completely, maybe there should be a huge community-driven in terms of how you optimize Discord facilities, the new platforms right now, for you to be able to reach the proper audience. If it's 18 above, or for example, it's YouTube, right? You need to put the content under 18 above, right? Because if you put the content in the public space without no filtering, you might influence people under 18, right? I mean, I hope you get my point about it. So the thing that needs to be done is to filter the contents. If it's in esports, it should be 18 above, because the minor people needs to, not be consumed by the negative effects of gambling.
Yeah. You want to add something, Kirill?
Yeah, I think so. So, once again, from sports betting perspective, we see what crazy growth of esports has stopped, and new generation actually, it's a key how we can increase this. But it's hard, and we need to create something new, like new way of betting. Actually, 2 days ago, we had a nice conversation with Mikael about that, and it was stupid, not stupid actually, it was it was business, boring discussion, blah, 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 and when we finished, we start brainstorming about what we can do for new generation, maybe something unique. And what is popular now? Okay, it's this chicken rod. But
Chicken rod, yeah.
yeah, in case we also have chicken, maybe we can create something with that. And we actually create a prototype super fast, easily. When player can choose how this chicken will be killed on the next round. Not real chicken, of course, in a game. So let's say in the Inferno, the map on CS2, there is a lot of chicken. So it's like a lot of content. But of course, we should focus it on tier 1 events, because if we provide such new category for betting, it's a high risk of match fixing, etc. So yeah.
Yep. Before I open to the floor for the Q&A session, I just have one more question that I would like to ask the three of you, okay? In terms of sporting integrity or the regulatory bodies, do you think it's adequate, or do you think it's sufficient for the esports betting environment?
Integrity is crucial. It's something that we work very closely with all our partners, both on the sportsbook side and on the publisher side and
Yep.
on the rights holder side. It's something that needs a lot more work, and it's also connected with how the esports scene is built up. There is a mature scene where you have LAN events where there are very limited amounts of issues because they're closely monitored, they're also paid a fair salary. But then it's the same challenges that you have in lower tiers of sports, where there is not an incentive to win, and this incentive to win is not strong enough. And that's something that the publishers and the rights holders have to take really, really serious. And there's difference of approaches from the publishers. Valve has a hands-off approach, whereas our partner Riot Games have a very strong hands-on approach, and they take it very seriously, and they're working towards it. I do think there is more cooperation needed, and this is also between suppliers, sportsbooks, and sharing information. And once there is something that is sensitive, we share that in that group, and there can be something done with the publisher in informing that there's something funny going on. But there will always be something that might happen, but the key is prevention, so education and prevention. And this is something that's been talked for a long, long time. But if there's enough done, no. There has to be more done, and I think it's also educating the players, and this is something that they're not so keen on hearing. Yeah, we know it's bad, but...
So in the event there's a hanky-panky or a dishonest act, actually who is the one actually doing all the catching, and then what are the punishment involved for people who does all this like match fixing?
I mean, if you're talking about Valve and CS2 and Dota, they can get banned from Valve, and also the tournament organizers. And teams that are found to be doing fraudulent business are not allowed to play in tournaments. And this is also the teams and the players, which means that they're restricted from playing in future tournaments, or their livelihood is restricted. So it has large implications for them, and that means that they can't play in any of the planned circuits. So that's the end of their career. And there's a more common misconception: why don't you just switch games? And good luck with that.
Good luck with that, exactly.
But another problem is a lot of tier 2, tier 3 teams actually involved in this stuff. So,
Julius, I have to cut you because we are running short of time. Okay.
I just have a few.
Yes, quickly, yeah.
Just a quickly one. In terms of the regulations, like for example here in the Philippines, if you're all should be familiar with PAGCOR, right?
Yes.
But the main problem here in the Philippines is, let's say there's only like 200 regulated sites, but there are 24,000 unregulated sites. That's a massive problem in the ecosystem in the Philippines. People see in the Philippines as the betting companies as a scam, because there's a common misconception between the unregulated and the regulated market. There are 20,000 scam sites operating in the Philippines who's not cash outing, So integrity should be first. That is why I always believe that regulation should be in front of everything here in the Philippines, because there's a lot of abusive companies and operators. Imagine it's 200 legal, 20,000 illegal. Like it's a huge chunk. And imagine those people, if you are not regulated, the minor people can bet even they're minor. Right? If there's no KYC, it's a huge, massive problem. And it's something that needs to be dealt with in the Philippines, because it's worse than pandemic, to be honest. Right? The scamming is unstoppable if there's no proper regulation.
Understood. Yeah. So we're going to take in 2 questions, okay, from the audience. So can we pass the mic to the audience? Yeah.
Hi, thanks for the sharing. Actually, Mika, I have a question for you, because there's a lot of mentions about latency and about edge computing in general. So I just wonder, how can the hyperscalers like Amazon, Google, or even Microsoft help to solve that problem? Or is it more of a consumer's problem we are talking about here? Yeah, I just want to understand the perspective if you are leveraging, all of these hyperscalers.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. It was a little bit noisy there. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my question is, there was a lot of mention about latency during the conversation just now. So I was wondering, how can hyperscalers like AWS, Google, or even Azure can help this in this case? Or is it more of a consumer problem?
Okay, now I got it. Thank you. That's a great question. So the latency depends on if it's an online or an offline match as well. If it's an online match, it's actually for the protection of the integrity of the game. Because if you're playing online and there's no delay, you're basically giving away information that you can use in-game. So you can have an Twitch in the background and then basically take in-game decisions, that is basically cheating. So that's one thing. For the offline events, there's still a data protection to basically ensure the competitiveness and also to protect the rights holders' value of data. So the latency is something that can be improved in terms of like how you are, where you're watching it from, but the data delays will not go down because that's actually in the interest of the rights holders and protecting the rights.
All right, we're taking the one final question
Yes.
from the floor.
My question is, for proprietary intellectual property rights for the historical archive data, like Isidro del Prado, which is in the Olympic Athletic Games or organization, how can we monetize it? And can you help us working on it? Because if you work this one, Isidro del Prado's town from Barcelona, Sorsogon, is one away from the town of the Yulu brothers. He is from Erosin, Sorsogon. And Isidro is my cousin.
Thank you for a great question. Intellectual property is very interesting and how you actually monetize that. There's so many different games and it's so spread out and it's different rights holders. And the teams are not constant like there are in traditional sports where you have Chelsea. They're always going to be Chelsea. The teams change a lot in esports and the teams and the players change thereafter. And there's not an alliance to one IP. There are certain teams that stay forever. Navi, for example, they're always going to stay there. But there are some different difficulties in terms of how you manage the IP. But if you look at games where there are more active ownership by the publisher like Riot Games or Moonton for Mobile Legends, there is an opportunity where they can basically control all these assets in one. And this is what we're trying to achieve with Grid. We help to distribute it to the regulated operators so they have an advantage. Back to Julius' point in terms of not having the same product but you're illegal, but having a superior product if you are a regulated operator.
Lovely. Thank you very much. We are running really short of time. Thank you for the great insights about esports, and thank you very much. And thank you for the great question as well.
Thank you so much
Thank
to
you.
Danny. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Danny, and to the wonderful panel. What a great conversation.